Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. Quant on our radar, QNT on the exchanges. Guys, if you haven't done so already, go and check out our other videos on the channel. We cover a multitude of projects. If there isn't one on here that you want us to cover, let us know always in the comments. We try and cover them all, and if we don't cover them as an individual video, we'll at least start introducing them into the People's Crypto episodes. One will be landing this week soon, so do make sure you get your requests in. But that out of the way, let's talk about Quant, guys, because for me, Quant is an absolute giant powerhouse, guys. It's a utility token for the Quant network and everything that it will be doing in terms of government level and financial level business. There's a couple of things I wanted to point out with Quant. And I did touch upon this sort of last year as well in relation to blockchain in general. The fact of the matter is, everything is still very new. Despite that we're all talking about it, you're on these channels and listening for a reason, right? You're interested in potentially making money, or like me, I obviously want to make some money, but I'm actually also massively interested in the technology and the application of blockchain moving forward. Now, blockchain obviously started around 2007 with the likes of Bitcoin. I won't go into too much detail to the whole thesis on cryptography and blockchain, but in general, it's been around for some time. And actually, do you know how fast time flies, right? 2007, I actually started university, and it's way back in my mind. I think it's yesterday. And actually, we're talking about blockchain being created properly around 15 years ago. How crazy is that? And now we're coming into a fruition of potential mass adoption in the next few years. And by means of mass adoption, we mean the entire infrastructure of how we do things in the world is going to change. Financially, we're talking about supply chain, we're talking about healthcare, DIDs, digital identities, decentralized identities, the way we use our social media, things are ordered, produced, manufactured, delivered. Everything and anything will be utilizing a formulation of blockchain and cryptography. It's absolutely phenomenal. I want to point out this: there's still a lack of people out there educated in these areas, and I really like the fact that Quant specifically focuses a lot on the development factors of people. This is an article we covered a few months ago, but I want to reiterate this point because look at this. By 2025, blockchain in general, around the development and application to serve a market, is expected to be $39.7 billion by 2025. Now, this is entirely about the institutional level of banking technology. The whole spectrum of crypto and blockchain is significantly higher than this. We already look at the market caps in the trillions of dollars, and will be considerably more so over the next few years, the next 10 years, and decades to come. Absolutely incredible to be involved at this moment in time. Now look at this, currently less than 1% of 27 million developers understand the complexities of blockchain technology. Yet we find ourselves with over 10,000 crypto projects. I can't remember the exact number right now, but I know it's well over 10,000. That is phenomenal. And we got such a small amount compared to where we might be in the near future. And imagine this new breed of people coming forwards in education from potentially younger levels to start getting more and more educated and enthused in this system, because this is the now. This is the future. And it's something very exciting upon us. We talk about AI and IoT massively as well. Of course, that's some huge integration. Robotics, manufacturing, as I said, all the things I just mentioned before, they're all interlaced in the same thing. And I'm really pleased, particularly with Quant being sort of UK based, locally providing information and educational opportunities through the University of London, which is really cool. King's College, one of those things, and students will cover a multitude of topics. And the reason I'm bringing that to your attention is because if you think ahead, I'm talking about as an investor as well as being patient in general with these technologies, think about what it is now and what it can be and should be and will be in 10, 20 years time. So you might be starting uni. Do you know what? I'm going to make this point. When I was at uni, I kept getting emails to buy EOS and Bitcoin. I hadn't a clue what either of those were. I thought it was a scam. Talking about digital currencies, the future, nonsense, blah, blah, blah. I kept like putting them in the spam folder, ignoring them. And do you know what? Some of them might have been scam emails, but the principle of what Bitcoin, I heard of Bitcoin. I was like, no, I don't want anything to do that. Of course, back then, it's probably like $10 or something stupid. Now, there's an opportunity for a young audience out there that perhaps, at student level, whatever, just thinking about, things that aren't involved in investments and things like that. You could actually stabilize a unique future, even with just a small investment. Now, this is not financial advice, it's an opinion based on my experience, 10, 12 years ago from the graduation area of ignoring these things. And we're going to see development. We're going to see development to DAG technology and things like this as well, of course. But quant for me, being substantially focused on government level and financial institutional level is what intrigues me the most. Okay, so as we mentioned, with this whole market by 2025 reaching the potential of nearly $40 billion is an absolutely huge sector to be going for. And I'm pulling this chart out in particular. So this is from 2021. Of course, it might have changed a very small amount to this year. But why am I interested in ISO tokens, and particularly ones that are invested or integrating with financial systems? Because this is the biggest piece of the pie right now. And particularly with quant, with such a low supply compared to the likes of Bitcoin for its various reasons. But in general, the entire complexity of quant and what it is and how powerful it can be and what it will be doing with its quant utility token across this board of BFSI, this is what interests me the most about these particular tokens like XLM, XRP. We talk about XDC, Algorand, all of these projects, Hedera even. Hedera are hugely linked with quant, and we'll go on to that in a second as well. But look at all the other things. We've already mentioned this a minute ago, how big blockchain can be in the grand scheme of things. And these numbers will fluctuate and change magnificently over the next few years. I guarantee it. Healthcare and life sciences is extremely interesting as we enter more AI, data-driven, potential chipsets within ourselves. It's coming. Don't worry about it. And all the other things here as well. But the biggest piece of the pie, understandably, is BFSI, and telecoms, media, and entertainment is very interesting. We see a lot of this about music now, NFTs, for example, but we also see the application now of DIDs. This removal of anonymous application of being able to just set up a social account and do what the hell you want. This is all going to change. One thing I'm not sure whether it's travel and transportation. There we go. So this will obviously be about blockchain and how we utilize EV cars and things like that. So it's very, very interesting indeed. And I'm looking forward to seeing the further development on this. We know quant is heavily involved with the likes of the Digital Pound Foundation, BIS, for example, in terms of the world's financial systems and building those. Quant is a huge part of that. And we must understand quant being the utility token with the seamless fiat payment options available for corporate customers. This is not for retail. This is for a phenomenally top level aspirations of global finance. The Overledger, massive DLT system, distributed ledger technology for the world, for the banking systems, and a multitude of different layers, different tiers, accommodating for all these things. And I think this is phenomenal, guys. Like, we do a lot of quant videos, we do a lot of around the likes of the World Economic Forum and things like this. We talk about R3 Corda. Look at all this. This all links back, guys. We talk about these tokens all the time, like the ISO 222 compliant tokens. We also talk about things like, as I mentioned, all the triple X crypto, I like to call them. Your XDC, for example, with the involvement in R3 Corda. Just do the dot connecting, guys, and you'll see this for yourselves. JP Morgan's Quorum and other open blockchains. This is absolutely mental. And of course, one of the topics here is talking about cyber crime, and in particular, crypto crime is huge, obviously. This is something that blockchain can fix, and especially via the likes of quant protocols and developments. I think this is fascinating. And one of my final points before we go into the chart, guys, Paolo Tasca, founder and executive director of UCL. So we're talking about the London College, as we just mentioned. Very interesting indeed. But look at this, co-founded Quant Network, of course. Doesn't post much. I wish he would talk more, because I think it'd be fascinating to see more insight from him. But the co-founder the co-chair CoinCom, Hedera Hashgraph. another project that we cover here on the Whales of Wall Street, and something that I hold dearly in my portfolio. They all link together, guys. Pay attention, because these are the systems, in my opinion, that will not only survive pretty much all these bear markets and downturns, but they will be the fundamental principles of the financial institutions worldwide. Whether that be utility tokens, the infrastructure and technology themselves, the fact of the matter is that these are all working together in some capacity in the background, and they will for decades to come. And quant, in my head, is one of the biggest to be focused on in my mind and my opinion. So I just thought I'd throw those little notes out there to you guys. Let's jump into the chart of quant, because it has had some really good movements over the last month. I've enjoyed DCAing into this one in particular, and I'm open and honest with my viewers. I got excited about quant towards the end of last year. I was buying around $120 and $150, knowing that maybe in the future, in my firm belief, because of supply, because of what we're dealing with quant, that this could potentially be a $10,000 coin plus in the future. I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow, next year, the year after, in 6 months. I'm thinking long term, guys, like a minimum 5 years, but potentially like 10 years. Okay, if you look at the cycle of Bitcoin and how it developed and how people use Bitcoin's technology and blockchain, some people, of course, look at it as value and a currency, but actually blockchain's technology of Bitcoin is absolutely phenomenal in some aspects. Yes, proof of work and expensive in some aspects, but it's about the technology. If you understand cryptography and blockchain, you will understand the magnitude of Bitcoin itself as a tech. It's phenomenal. Now, I want to point out that I was buying at these high areas. Could you say FOMO? Potentially. I saw the rise, it didn't sell because I wasn't trying to maybe accumulate some more quant at that time. Then we had the downturn of the market back here, pretty much from November onwards for quant and majority of other assets. We hit these lower points here in January, and we did a lot of videos around that period of time. I'm just going to drop these charts and indicators down a bit. So you can see here where we were putting in the buy orders on the way down, hitting every single one. We got to this area around 64, and I was like, wow, this is brilliant. I had some buy orders back down at the 50 area, and we went even lower than that to 38, guys. $38, near enough, around $40. Incredible opportunity to be accumulating. We've now had this V-shape correction here on the chart. In my opinion, it's coming up a bit too fast, and I do think that we're going to start having to try and stabilize and verify these particular support areas. Looking back here in May 2021, and also these touch points in June and July respectively in 2021. Since then, we had this big uprise, big drop down, almost close to these kind of areas, around the 75 to 60 area, but not enough in my mind to secure it. So we dropped down that barrier. That's why we had the penetration downwards along with the rest of the market, couldn't support it. And now we're seeing some traction upwards. Why? Because people love the price of quant at $40. That's all I can say about it. Would I like it lower? Absolutely. And would I be buying it lower? 100%. But right now, we're on an uptake. So what am I doing as a positional buyer? If I haven't got into quant before, don't do what I did and just FOMO in and not understand the full spectrum of the cycle, or indeed think otherwise. Have a think. Be strategic with your buying options. So for me personally, I'm not selling right now. I'm not going to be selling quant for some time. And if we get back to the $200-300 mark, then absolutely. Because if I'm buying, $40, it'd be stupid to not at least get some of my money back from the initial investments, right? But right now, on the macro level, we're looking at these touch points on the fib retracements. Okay, so what we've had is a bounce off on this light blue area here at 66. This is basically matching what we saw in May. We've had a bit of a bounce off. So far, we're supporting around this $60 mark. So we're talking about big money here in argument sense, guys, because not everyone has loads of money. Some people like to accumulate quant, not in wholes, but in parts, right? But the fact of the matter is, we're having good price intakes here, and we're talking about significant money to a lot of people, right? It's not my place to say what is and isn't expensive to people. Everyone has their own situations, right? This is about 62% of an uprise since the middle of June. Really good progress so far, but I'm being not skeptical, but I'm being wary of the world's conditions, the market conditions, and everything like this. We are literally simply trying to find the support line back at this 60 mark. And as I said, there are limited options in the past where we have had that support line. So I could imagine some traction being around this area for the weeks to come. If I'm looking to be buying in again looking back at time, you may be wanting to look at the lower regions of the 50 mark and in between the 60. It's not a huge difference, like $5-6. If in my mind, it's like, if you believe in the long-term aspects of quant, it's perhaps insignificant. But on the macro level, of course, you're sitting there going, oh, well, is £6, £7 too much, like difference? So that would be my first area of option here. It's not far off where it is right now, but you try and save as much as you can where you can, right? Because actually $5, $10 is a lot of assets elsewhere, for example. So that's my first area of interest. And another one would be, as I said, back at the lower regions of 50. But you may call me mad, I do still have buy orders back down here still around the 40 mark. And believe it or not, I have some lower down here at the 30-35. Why? In case of a market explosion downwards, because of Bitcoin potentially still coming down to $12,000 or $15,000, I have those areas. But quant is a very special asset, guys, because it has a lot of value in it. It's a huge project. The supply is very good from an investor's perspective in terms of the short term and the long term as well. But I just think like any drop with quant, whether it be $5, $10, $20, I'm grabbing it. If it's under $100, I'm not even being stupid here. If it's under $100, I am buying quant when I can, when I see dips. That is as simple as that in my head. I had no quant last year. I have a good bag this year. There was a post actually on Twitter saying like, what is a decent bag of quant? Like, what defines a bag of quant? And majority of people were saying 100. And I thought, wow, that's quite a lot of money for people. I mean, but in my mind, even if you have like 10 of them and we do get to those bigger levels in the future, that's considerable ROI, right? Return on investment. So those are my three buying areas for the potential downward trend. I do think sometimes we get fake outs where we have these low periods and we have a nice period. But you've also got to remember, and I always make this point to people, look at the timings most of the time of upward trends, and they always come around paydays, okay? A lot of people get paid around the 21st of the month, but they also get paid at the end of the month as well. So you tend to get this like upward trend sometimes of when people get paid and movements upwards. Not all the time, but you see at least volumes increasing. So people get paid and they go, oh yeah, quant, brilliant, buy, and all the others without maybe reflecting on the positional aspects of the chart and the history and things like this, and they jump in. But it's going to be really interesting to see this because I do think we're seeing obviously this upward aspect, and I'm going to point this out in the indicators as well, guys, because let's stop drawing first of all on my charts. There we go. So we had this bit sell-off. It was so minimal, and we're now in this very, very nice upward trend. The RSI has shot up to 54. Still not massively high in my opinion if you were buying down at these lower regions when it was like 26. For me, if it got to that sort of 70, 75 mark, I'd be interested potentially to be selling off some initial investments. And obviously if we get to 80, 90, which I don't really expect until a full bull run, however that looks, whether that's a long-term bull or short-term, that is an indicator to say that in the 14-day period we've done very well. I do think we've done very well anyway because we essentially doubled the position at least. But on the 28-day, on the monthly spectrum, 33 to 46 is still very respectable, but it's not enough, nowhere near enough in my opinion, from buying in a month's period to go, oh, I'm going to sell my quant. So it's very good to look at the 14-day if you're doing really short-term ones, but also the 28-day and the 90-day to be more respectful to the longer-term plan and go, actually, if I sell now, I'm not really making much percentage gain. So that's why I'm holding and buying in these lower areas for the better times in the future hopeful bull runs. And on the performance indicator on the right hand side, two positive things here. One is the weekly is up, and two, very limited amount of projects have this, but this one as well is up. It's just about scraping it on the month. But again, the 6 month and the 3 months are indicating significantly less negative percentages than other crypto assets out there. And this is a proven point of longevity and sustainability, but also the strength in buyers' confidence, or indeed holders' confidence. So there's three aspects here to be considering on this. And like I said, we're in a stabilization area now in the next couple of days. I do expect over the next couple of weeks to see some fluctuation of a wave until Bitcoin decides whether it's stabilizing itself over $20,000, or if we reject that support and bring it down, we could see the entire asset classes coming down even further. Again, that is not saying that quant is bad. It just means that people are taking out the risk, selling when they can and buying back in. You can see it in the patterns of quant. They've been utilizing the market. Even in the downward trends, they've been actually risk assessing, selling and buying back in. And you can actually see that in a lot of the addresses on the wallets and the scanners, that is what people have been doing on a regular trading basis. So there's a number of interesting points there, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Do let us know in the comments below if you've been accumulating quant in the last few weeks. What have you been doing in the last few days? Have you been taking advantage of some sales, or are you simply waiting for dips like I am in DCA averages? Let us know. Let us know what you think about quant in general, because I think it's phenomenal and it's going to be exciting years to come for this incredible crypto asset class and utility token and technology. Thanks for watching, guys. We will see you in the next quant video. Bye bye.